This is ninth lit, and we're gonna write journal number 12, I believe.
It's number 13.
Make it 13. And we are not quite there yet, but we will be, maybe even today. But over the next couple of days of reading, we're gonna be at a place where everybody's urging, I think we may have already gotten there, but anyway, they're urging Roland to get help and essentially quit. And I just thought it would be interesting, I've asked people to do this before, to write a journal about a time you either did quit or you didn't quit. You know, it was something that was very difficult, you were tempted to quit. I can think of a couple of times, one in particular, looking back on it, I still have mixed feelings about it. I kind of wish I hadn't have quit, and yet at the time, I think I probably made the best decision at the time. So, you know, that would be a decision, that would be something I could write about. So think about a time you went through something very difficult, but you didn't quit. You know, you stuck in there and, you know, successful, or maybe you did quit. And you think back, well, I had to do whatever the circumstances were. You got 10 minutes, a time that you did or didn't quit something when it was tempting to do so. And of course, you can always, if you can't think of a personal example, you can always think of books and movies and other people, stories that other people have told you about a similar situation when somebody wanted to quit and they didn't. Maybe your parents have told you those stories before. I did. wrap it up. Anybody want to share a time when you didn't quit something, or you did quit something? I wish you'd been here in the other two classes yesterday. We had much of a discussion here, but they really enjoyed talking about, maybe it was in here, did we get to talk about the dreams? Well, I asked you to, so you can do it today. Remember, we wrote about dreams yesterday, didn't I? And I asked, and nobody said anything, but the other two classes had really good discussion. They talked about dreams and about sleepwalking and some crazy dreams they had. I wish you could have heard that. Yeah.
I can tell you one of my dreams.
Yeah.
I'll tell like two ones that I remember really well. One of my weirdest dreams was a guy holding a perfectly round ball above his head, then dropping it, which caused me to wake up, and that lasted like 3 days. I had that same dream. The other ones, when I was 5 or 6, I saw the shadow of Ronald McDonald going downstairs to my basement. The last one I got was I was on a jet ski I just bought, and I rode it in the Philippines from my dock. And I was kept on being begged to play in the water with this family, play catch, family of Filipinos. And I said something bad to one of them, and my friend was there named Maddox, and he was Filipino for some reason. Then he like tackled me on my jet ski, and I started like doing flips on it. Then there's this other one, I have it written in my phone from like the time when I woke up. It was, I woke up in this like video game map thing, and in the corner there was like this dude from a movie. He was pumping up something in the water that was like a nuke, and he kept pumping it up, and then Santa came by on like some boat and jumped in the water and set off the nuke, and then I woke up.
Well,
Something like that.
why the Philippines? Was there any reason how you think you were dreaming about the
I
Philippines?
had one thing of the Philippines. It was in like 5th grade or something. It was, we drew out of a hat someplace to like study, and I got the Philippines.
Oh, okay. I just think it's fascinating where these things come from. I mean, it's your dream in your head and your life. I just think that's fascinating, because sometimes I dream things and where did that come from? I have no idea why that. I've never had a dream twice, although I've had similar dreams, something like when I was a kid being chased by something. I remember it seemed like the same guys were in this thing, so maybe but it was a different setting and different circumstances. And we talked about, what do you call it, sleepwalking, which seems to me the same thing. It's like acting out on your dream, because the one time that happened to me that I know of, because I woke up, I was dreaming something, and then I was trying to get out of a room, and I was literally got up and started doing. I woke up while I was in that effort. But dreams are, if you could remember them, they're really kind of interesting, and I think they could be the source of pretty interesting stories. Yeah.
And one more thing, it was about, I stayed in this room at a beach house with my friend in these twin beds, and he like sleep talked a bunch, and he started like insulting me in his sleep, and he started talking about parts to a computer and stuff. It was really weird. And then he talked about some house.
You have some vivid dreams. I assume the rest of you have dreams, you're just not sharing it. Yes.
Every single dream that I have is like the same thing. Like I would like do something bad, and I'm like trying to run away, but I can't run away. And like I just like I'm trying to run away, I just stand still for some reason, and I just like
Yeah.
wake up every.
I
It's like
think
the
all-
same dream every day.
That's kind of, I know, I've had dreams like that.
like certain days.
Yeah,
One dream was where I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't actually breathe in real life. Like I had a stuffy nose that morning, and I like couldn't breathe. I was in this car underwater, and I've had like 20 talks with my dad, and he keeps telling me how to get out of a car when you're sinking underwater. And the way I was in the car, and I woke up, and I still couldn't breathe. So I went over to the sink, and I could breathe, which is weird.
well, I appreciate your sharing those with us. Anybody have any thoughts about quitting, or a time you didn't quit? Maybe that's, again, too personal, but I can remember a time I quit and a time I didn't quit. The time I didn't quit is I never even considered it, so I don't really think that's a fair example, but I wasn't being very successful at it. It was in sports, and I played football when I was like 4th grade up to senior year in high school, and I never really started. I was always just kind of a bench person, but I never considered quitting, and I'm glad I didn't, because I didn't know I could. You know what I mean? It's kind of nice to know you can't quit school. Well, you can when you're 16, but you can't. Yeah. It's illegal not to go to school up till age 16. But I never. I mean, who would have considered that? That would be kind of foolish. But I just stayed in it year after year until all of a sudden, from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, I was able to play. And to me, I look back and think, wow, I wasn't tempted. It was just like I didn't know I could, and all of a sudden, you wait long enough, suddenly you're the guy, and that's what happened to me when I was in college. However, I ran cross country, indoor and outdoor track, and I was never really the start. They have cross country have top 7, and I wasn't even close to that. Track, I didn't get to go, and I never ran in but one meet. Which was a great meet for me, but I only get to run in one. I did run in indoors. That was interesting, fun, but I really wasn't very successful. And the next year I came back, it all started the same way, and I decided not to keep doing it. And I have doubts about it. I wish, looking back, I hadn't quit. But at the time I'm thinking, I don't know if I could. I just didn't think I could keep doing it. The motivation to do it wasn't like it is in high school. Listen, if you don't participate in sports in high school, if that's your thing, the chances are you'll never do it in college, because it's really hard to be a college athlete. I was in a sport that you could walk on, and they let me walk on, and it was a great experience. It was really good. I wish I had stuck with it. I could have said I finished my career there, but I just think that's important. We're going to be seeing a guy who refuses to quit, which I like that. I like people that don't quit when something that gets difficult, and you learn a whole lot about that. And you can go ahead and turn. You have something else, David?
Yeah, I have an example.
Yeah, great.
One time in my warm-up, my friend.
You talking about soccer?
Yeah, I was playing for club, and one time my friend, we were doing this warm-up where you, part of the warm-up is where you jump off and hit shoulders and hands. My friend has some extremely spiky cleats, and we jumped up and went down, and he just landed on my toe 3 times. So then I started in the game, and I was running at the goalie to get the ball, and it was really close. So I met him at the ball, and he just booted it right into my toe. My toe kind of snapped to the left. So I just kept playing because I thought I just stubbed my toe, and it just made it worse. So then I came out and took off my sock and looked at my toe, and it was bent like this kind of, and then on the way when halftime ended, all my teammates literally walked by and hit my toe.
purpose?
No, not on purpose, they just walked by and sat down on the bench, hitting my toes, really.
So you're telling us you didn't quit?
I just didn't go out until they subbed me out, because like halfway through, they switched, because we had such a big team, so.
What, all right, thank you, Davis, for sharing with us, share a lot of things. We're on page 93, we're gonna do number 84, and, I'm gonna ask, why don't we go here, Lauren, if you'll start, we're gonna go this way, just so we'll be ready. Roland, number 84, Roland, has been asked to quit, so to speak. He's been asked to blow the horn in order to get help. And that's not really quitting, but I'm kind of putting it in that context. And he refuses to do so. I think he's foolish. Make sure you know the name of his sword. It's been mentioned 3 times in the book. But if we're on page 92, it's the 4th line from the bottom. Make sure you know the name of his sword. Now we're on 93, and this is gonna happen 3 times. He's gonna be asked, what do you call when something is repeated several times? The wording is reposha. So these are 3 examples of reposha. Anytime you see it, I think you need to be in the habit of underlining things and labeling them. We're, AP class is reading a 600-page book. This is a little, it's a different edition, and so it's smaller words. But, let's see, I write in the book, because I teach it, I have to know it. And, so, I know that you're not gonna read it twice. You know, we're fortunate to be able to read something one time. I've read it 10, 12, I don't know how many times I've read it. But you won't read this more than once, at least this year. How are you possibly gonna remember anything if you don't underline? I think it's a really important skill. When I was in college, I never did that in high school because the books weren't ours. They were textbooks. We couldn't underline things and write in them. We had to give them back. So when we went to college, you know, that was when you started highlighting, when you would read books and things. And what I did wasn't much better than not writing at all. I'd take a highlighter and highlight the whole page. Then we have nothing now, you know, because everything's highlighted, nothing's highlighted. And so I had to learn to comment and highlight only those things that are important. But that's why I'm telling you, this is important. Or maybe it's not even that important, but I'm trying to get you into a habit of writing. So just know that these stanzas here, we have Raposha, and Lauren is gonna kind of read the same thing again in 84. So you may begin.
Companion Roland, your elephant now sound. King Charles will hear us and his army ground. He will secure us with all his kingly power. Roland replies, may never God allow that I should cast dishonor on my house, or on fair France bring any ill renown. Rather will I with Durandal strike out, with his good sword here on my battle bound. From point to hill you'll see the blood run down. Woe worth the pain and that ere they made this round. I pledge my faith will smite them dead on ground.
All right, so I can't find my questions. I'm gonna look at these. So we are at question, page 121, 94. So we did 34. It says, Oliver realizes the gravity of the situation. He asks Roland to sound the horn. Roland refuses 3 times. Why does he refuse? Why might this be significant to the course of the story? Well, what does he say there? Why does he refuse to blow the horn? Yeah, well,
He thinks they can beat them, and he's worried about his reputation.
yeah, he says also, friends. You know, I don't wanna, they say that in the Marine Corps, you know, guys would never, I mean, I'm sure this happens over the years, but if you're in the Marine Corps, you never run away. You know, you kinda have the mentality, we're gonna stay here and die if we have to. And the enemy troops, always, I've heard in many wars, were afraid to fight American Marines because they knew how tough they were. And And I really like that attitude. You don't dishonor the Marine Corps, you don't dishonor yourself, you don't dishonor, your country. What in the world is that word in the first line? Companion Roland, your Oliphant now sound. What is that? What could that Oliphant be?
Trumpet.
It's gotta be the horn. Wonder why it's called an Oliphant. Look at the bottom of the page.
The word, which is a form of an elephant, is ivory, a horn made of ivory, and is used specifically, almost as a proper name, to denote Roland's horn, made of an elephant tusk and adorned with golden jewels around the
Do you
rim.
remember the elephants in Lord of the Rings? In one of the, I think it was the last book or the movie. You remember the bad guys attacked and they used elephants? I think they called them Oliphants. But anyway, that's the horn. You gotta know the name of that. Gracie, 85. It's gonna be similar to 83 and 84. 85 is just like that.
Companion Roland, your elephant now flow, traveling in the past we can hear it as it began. Trust me, the French will all return right soon. Now God forbid rolling like cancer. The waiting man should safely on go. Blowing of horns for any way. Neither shall my finger be put to such an approach. Then I shall stand in this great clash of waves, and strike 8,700 straight. Blood red and steel, and thou shalt flow. Stout are the things they will do battle hold. These men of Spain shall die, and I have their host.
And, I asked you earlier about anything you've quit or didn't quit. Why didn't you? If you didn't quit, why didn't? A lot of people, it's the same attitude as Roland. You're embarrassed to quit. To me, that's kind of if it's a good thing, that's kind of a positive peer pressure. You would quit if you wouldn't look like a quitter. And so you don't quit. And then later you're glad you didn't quit. So that's a kind of pressure that I think is, if it's a good thing, if it's a bad thing, then we should quit, we shouldn't be doing anything bad. But if it's a good thing and you're embarrassed to quit, that's a good reason not to quit, because that's good pressure, I think. We'll go to Mallory, 86. I think that's the last. There were 3 in a row. Raposha, 3 in a row. Yeah.
Quoth Oliver, herein I see no blame. I've beheld the Saracens of Spain. They cover all the mountains and vales. They spread across the hillsides and the plains. Great is the might these foreigners display, and ours appears a fair small array. I thirst the more, quoth Roland, for the fray. God and his angels forbid it now, I pray, that ere by me fair France should be disdained. I'd rather die than thus be put to shame. If the king loves us, it's for our valor's sake.
Underline those 2 lines. That ere by me fair France should be defamed. He's not going to dishonor France by running away. I'd rather die than thus be put to shame. That's what I was talking about. Sometimes it's just mere fear of embarrassment that you don't quit something. And again, that could be a positive kind of peer pressure. The next line is extremely important. So when Zach reads the first line of this next stanza, I want you to underline it. It in one sentence summarizes Roland and Oliver's character. So, Zach?
Roland is fierce and Oliver is wise. And both from God and me bear with the prize. One's horse and arm the quarrel to the side. For a dread of death that field they'll never fly. That counts are brave, their words are stern and high. Now the false pagans with wondrous furry ride. Quoth Oliver, look, Roland, they're in sight. Charles is far off, and these are very nigh. You would not
Okay, the first line, underline it. Go back if you didn't already. That's in a sentence, summarizes the character of Roland and of Oliver. They're different. Two.
When Roland sees that battle, there must be leopard nor lion never grow so fierce as he. He calls the French, bids Oliver give heed. Sir, friend and comrade, such words he shall not speak. When the king gave us the French to serve this need, these 20,000 he chose to do the deed. No well he knew not one would flinch or flee. Men must endure much hardship for their liege, and bear for him great cold and burning heat. Suffer sharp wounds, and let their bodies bleed. Smite with your lance, and I with my good steel. My Durandal the emperor gave to me, and if I die, who gets it, they agree that he who bore it a right good knight was he.
Roland's got really good reasons for not asking for help, but I don't think they are. Hey, Rachel.
Then to their side comes the Archbishop Turpin, riding his horse and up the hillside spurring. He calls the French and preaches them a sermon. Barons, my lord, Charles picked us for this purpose. We must be ready to die in our king's service. Christendom needs you, so help us to preserve it. Battle you'll have, of that you may be certain. Here comes the paynims your own eyes have observed. Now beat your breast and come and ask God for his mercy. I will absolve you and set your souls in surety. If you should die, bless martyrdoms your bearing. Will sit on high in paradise eternal. The French alike and all kneel down and worship. God strokes and blessing the Archbishop conferred. And for the penance his bids them all strike firm.
So in a sense, what Turpin does, he kind of absolves all of them of their sin, because if they're going to die soon, many of them, and actually all of them, he's going to absolve them. Did you have a question, Rick?
Oh, yeah, what's the answer to,
Did you read it?
it's, how do the actions and words and IECs, ACs, ADA, echo the words and actions before and after Beowulf's final battle with the dragon?
Okay, well, we kind of made that connection yesterday. How is this very much like Beowulf?
He doesn't ask for help.
Right.
Beowulf refused to ask for help. It was all about pride, and Roland is saying the same thing. And remember, it says Roland is fierce, but Oliver is wise. So Oliver is telling him the right thing to do. Do you know what martyrdom is? Yeah,
Dying for what you believe.
dying what?
For what you believe.
Yeah, it's usually for a cause, what you believe. People that die for, as Christians, they're martyrs. We're gonna read a book about that this year. So that was Rachel. We'll go to you, David.
French rise up and on their feet stand close. All of their sins are shirred in and made whole, and the Archbishop, God's blessing, has bestowed. Then on swift steeds they leap to saddle bow. Armed with the arms prescribed by knightly code, all are now ready into the field to go. Count Roland said to Oliver, right so, sir, my companion, too true the word you spoke. That's all of us by Gamlin or sold, is ta'en his wage of wealth and gold, good and gold. The emperor's vengeance, I think, will not be slow, nor seal the king has bargained for our bones. He'll need the sword to fetch his purchase home.
Mallory?
Through the gate of Spain, Roland goes riding past on hills into his swiftly running back. But well it becomes him to go equipped in arms, bravely he goes and tosses up again. High in the sky he lifts the lance head tall, and milk-white hand is fixed above the shaft. Whose fallen fringes lift his hands on him. Nobly he bears him, with open face he laughs, and his companion behind him follows hard. The Frenchmen all acclaim him their strong guard, on saffron he throws a haughty glance,
notice they're not just sitting there waiting for the enemy to attack them, which is what's happening. They see the enemy coming, so what do? They're moving out to meet them. So he's leading their advance against the enemy. Look at the second line. It tells you the name of Roland's horse. You're not going to have to remember this, but I want you to know what it means. Zelentif, it means wide awake. That's the name of his horse, wide awake. I like that. And I like the fact that Roland laughs. It's like he's happy to be here. He could die any minute, and he's going to kill people any minute, but it's like, this is what I was made for. All right, Ian.
Once Oliver, I have no word to say. To sound your horn for help, you would not deign. So here you are, you've not got Charlemagne. Little he knows, brave heart, he's not to blame. Nor those with him, no wise and fault are they. Ride forward then, and do not rest you may. Barons, my lords, hold firm, smooth the fray. Now for God's sake be resolute, I pray. To strike hard blows, to give them, and to take. King Carlin's war cry, forget not to proclaim. A mighty shout for some fingers straightway. Who's heard?
Who's
Who's had heard the cry, not joy they raised. He would remember its valiance all his days. They changed, Lord God.
They charge.
They charged, Lord God. Was ever sight so brave? They spur their steeds to make the greater haste. They fall a fighting, there is no other way. The Saracens joined battle undismayed. Cannons and Franks are fighting face to face.
A couple of things here. Circle the word Montjoy or Mountjoy. Find it and circle it. That is the French war cry. There's a character in Henry V who is French, and his name is Montjoy, which is clearly the same, really different spelling, but same word. So they begin to charge, and let's go to him, Greece.
Now Adelroth, who was King Marshall's nephew, before the host comes first of all his fellows, with evil words the French he thus addresses. Villainous Franks, with us you have to reckon. You've been betrayed by him that should protect you. Your king lacked wit, who in the past has left you. Fair France will lose her honor in this venture. From Carlin's body the right arm will be stripped. When Roland hears him, God, but his rage is reckless. He spurs his horse, gives full rein to his mule, to his mettle. His blow he launches with all his mighty effort. The shield he shatters, and the hauberk he rendeth. He splits the breast and batters in the breastbone. Through the man's back drives out the backbone bended, and soul and all forth on the spear point fetches. Clean through he thrusts him forth of the saddle wrenching, and flings him dead a lance linked from his destrier. Into two pieces he has broken his neck bones. No less for that he speaks to him and tells him, out on thee, churl, no lackwit is the emperor. He is none such, nor loved the treason ever. Right well he did, who in his passes left us. Neither shall France lose honor by this venture. First blood to us, go to it, gallant Frenchmen. Right's on our side, and wrong is with these wretches.
Okay, who's the first person to kill a Saracen? That shouldn't be too hard. What?
Roland.
It is Roland. And we won't read a lot of this, but we'll read some more of it, yeah.
I think it's time for us.
Yeah. Good luck.
Well, Ian, or guy.
Did you get the door open? Good luck. Thank you. All right, so the first kill is from Roland, and you'll notice we'll read a few of these. We'll go to Yuritsa.
brother was he to King Marcellin. How do you say that name?
Probably Abiram.
Abiram's land and Dathan's did he own. Under the sky was no worse villain known. Between the eyes his brow was broad of bone. A full half foot is measured, I suppose. His nephew's death he bitterly bemoans. Forth of the press he gallops out alone. The pain and war cry utters as he goes. And on the French an evil taunt bestows. Fair France, this day shall find her honor flown. Oliver's heard him. Great wrath within him grows. And to his horse he strikes his spur of gold. Right burnly he rides to smite the foe. He breaks the shield, he claves the hauberk close. Clean through his breast drives lance and pen and bow. A spear flings him dead from the saddle bow. Looks down and sees the infidel lie low, and thus upbraids him in a right haughty tone. Churl, for your threats I do not care a groat. French lords strike on, we'll have them all overthrown. King Carolyn's war cry, Mount Joy he shouts full bold.
Says the French or the Paynims have a war cry too. I'm going to tell you what it is, and you'll see it later. Where it says in that fifth line from the top, the Paynim war cry, their war cry is the word precious. Does that ring a bell from anything you've read that late summer? Precious. What about the Hobbit? Gollum calls the ring precious, my precious. Well, that's actually the name of one of the king. I think it's Marsilian, his sword. We'll go to Emily and finish up.
A king was there, his name was Corselus. From a far land he came from Barbary. The Saracens he calls, and thus he speaks. Well are we placed his field of arms to keep. For of these Franks the numbers is but weak, and we may well despise the few we see. Charles cannot come to help them in their need. This is a day their deaths are all decreed. Archbishop Turpin has listened to his speech, and hates him worse than any man that breathes. His golden spurs he strikes into his steed, and rides against him right valiant for the deed. He breaks the buckler, he splits the hauberk steel. Into his breast driven the lance head deep. He spits him through, on high his body heaves, and hurls him dead, a spear sling over the lead. Earthward he looks, and sees him at his feet, but yet to chide him he none the less perceives. Foul and fatal, you lie between your teeth. Charles, my good lord, to help us will not cease, nor have our French the least desire to flee. These friends of yours stop still, were like to leave. Here's news for you. You'll die, and there you'll be. Frenchmen, strike home, forget not your high breed. The first good stroke is ours, God's gramercy. The shouts Mount Joy to hearten all.
Let me just read one more, but notice that it's one of the peers fights one of the Saracens, and then another one. So kind of in order of their importance. The first one was Roland, the second was Oliver, the third one was the Archbishop. Let me read just one more. And Garin strikes Malpremus of Brigale, no penny piece, the stubborn shield avails. The crystal boss he splinters all in twain, that half the buckler falls down upon the plain. Through the flesh he cleaves the hauberk mail, through the heart he drives the good spear straight. The Paynim falls flat down with all his weight. And underline this line, then Satan comes and hales his soul away. So when the bad guys die, Satan comes and gets their soul. When the good guys die, angels do it. I want you to do one more thing, though. I'm not going to read it. We're going to skip several of these. I want you to write the word skip next to 97, so you'll know we didn't read it. Okay, skip 98. Write these down so you'll know. Skip 99. Skip 100. And skip 101. So when we start again, it'll be next week 102. Yeah.
Do you have a go-kart for next week?
We will. I haven't assigned it yet, so just, if you want to go ahead and do the rest of the vocab, you can. I will do your vocabulary quiz, and we'll start again next week. It'll be due probably Wednesday, so if you wanna go ahead and do it. You know, there's 24 words. So, see. Oh, y'all go ahead. See ya. Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Yo, my desk looks like it's swollen. I got swollen desk. Dude, yes, that's the good thing. Actually, I'm leaving a little bit. You don't want to be, you know what I'm saying? Oh, to Mrs. Clement. To Mrs. Clement. Yes, dude, they're sick.
Were you gonna record this after that?
I haven't done it yet. I'll do it on Marty, that's online.
Wait, Matt, has Matthew Main taken it yet?
Yeah.
Who?
Matthew Main?
Why don't you ask him, he's standing right there.
Oh, have you taken it?
Wait, our got this in the last one.
I haven't done it yet. They'll be there tomorrow, but they're not there today.
And then like, it just seemed like I didn't wear it anyway.
Is it a first quarter grade?
Yeah.
Yeah. Matthew.
Yeah.
Did you have 5 pages? I'm like allergic to water.
Did you wait to make it? Where'd you get it?
I don't know how to look.
Cargo, it's super illuminate.
I think that's too much more than
I'm gonna get like a good.
I'm always in trouble.
Wait, how?
Because I keep looking at it.
What'd you get at the first one?
Mr. Hoffman, are you
I
there?
don't know.
Yeah.
It was like a roll. It was like 85 times just on my first page.
And how was you back?
Because I didn't end up using that pages. So they make 75 pages. I don't want
Just
Yeah.
so it.
She said
To the bottom of 4.
She said 4.
Oh, then I felt like a 3 and a half.
You did 3 and a half?
I just never didn't get it.
How if you're.
I had the bottom of 4.
How was it 83 to 7?
Because that was for the first draft, and I had 3 pages.
Mine was 83 to 90, and I still
Oh,
got
they're talking about the profit paper.
94.
I did not do well on that. I know I did not. Yeah, I think I failed.
Yeah, I'm scared because.
Did we get it back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get back to this.
Yeah, I didn't do it either.
I mean, I guess I technically could have worked harder, and I did. But I
Technically.
hey,
No.
but I mean, I still tried, so.
Was this a paper deal there?
Yes.
Is this the final? Is the final draft?
Supporter, yeah.
But it is a final draft.
Yeah. We finished it like.
Now,
Yeah.
do your work assignment.
She takes off 9 points if you did your work assignment.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, you just told me that.
What? What?
No, you just said that you.
Oh my god.
I don't know, because you did like 5 pages.
No, I think about it, I think I remember I did. Yeah, I said.
So, we're gonna work outside.
Yeah, we're not gonna do it today, but we will do it. We'll do it next week.
I
So you just printed your final.
Some of them keep turning 5 minutes.
I get, I'm up there 6 foot in Santa Rita, so she's actually awful about lying.
My mom hates writing stuff.
Yeah, I would, that's, I mean,
My mom
it runs in
does
the
it
family.
vertical. Something on
She's over here, I have it.
from it's okay. Just walk out. Ask them, what about
All right, guys, we're going to sit down. Does anybody go out and leave for soccer to,
We have like 6
10 left.
We don't even,
Yeah.
we literally lost nobody. We lost 10, that's it. Literally makes the question harder.
yeah, we will get outside. I've done it, not today, but I need to plan and make sure we have a place to go. There's a great place out there. We'll do that next week. I know we're limited in the number of days we can go out there, but, now that they have these,
Shoot, I tried to do it now.
yeah, but don't throw it. Just once you fix the lines.
Sorry,
Okay,
yeah, I'll do
but
that.
you did it.
Okay.
Yeah, you did it.
No, I actually didn't try to hit that. I'm not lying to you.
All right, so, anyway, we will do that. I'll get the quizzes, I'll have to wait till Monday, but I'll get them done tomorrow morning. So they'll be online. Hopefully they're pretty good. You know we're halfway through the book. That'll be a big test coming up. And then we'll read one other book, but we might write a paper first. We need to do that. You just finished one or got it back. I like to do is write them in the class.
Oh, yeah.
Like one draft in the class, different purposes, and she's trying to teach you, that's her job, to teach you the writing. Our job is the content and trying to articulate, so we're practicing what she's teaching you in there. So we'll do that, it'll be a whole day, and it'll be a test grade, so. So we'll pray for soccer as they drive down to Gastonia, volleyball is playing here, I think, today.
Oh, well.
Anything else we can pray for?
Just,
There's an election going on, a lot happening in the country, we need to pray for it. Yes, sir.
My grandpa fell the other day and hit his head and got a concussion, but
Your grandfather?
yeah, he's fine.
well, how did he fall in?
He like hit his head or something and then he stumbled back like,
It's hard to imagine at your age not being able to keep your balance, like just walking. But, we live with somebody who's fallen multiple times, 96. But, it's to watch that happen, realize that he cannot do what you can do. There's no problem walking, you just don't fall down for no reason. Well, they don't fall down for no reason, it's always something that causes them to lose their balance. But, God's protected him, my father-in-law. Did he break anything?
no, he just like, he got a concussion, I was
Well,
like,
that's pretty bad. But anyway, we'll pray for Hayden, we'll pray for volleyball and soccer. All right, let me pray for us. Father, thank you for this afternoon. Except for, electives tomorrow morning, they're pretty much finished with their core classes after this afternoon. And until Monday, which is a new quarter, we're thankful that we're here. We pray to keep coming here. School's not easy. There are things we don't like. It's hard work getting up, but it beats not being here. Most public school students would tell you that. And we still have sports and choir and all those things. And see friends, and the learning is a lot better here. So we're thankful. We pray that we could stay here. Pray for the two teams as they travel and play, that they'll do their best. Pray for Hayden's grandfather who fell, got a concussion. Pray for this debate tonight, that your will be done. For the election also, that your will be done. We ask that we would honor you today. We pray this in Christ's name, amen. I was telling C Block about a lot of things, well, I didn't do the specifics, I just told him that you had a good discussion yesterday about dreams, and I just told him the kinds of things we talked about, so I appreciated that.
Can I go get my book?
Yeah, let me tell you what we're gonna write about first.
Oh,
Yeah,
can we share more about dreams?
well, we're gonna do something else, you can in a minute if you want to, but let's write about this. This is a different subject, but also related to Roland. Where are we? Are we? I don't think we're there yet. So I'm kind of ahead, maybe. I don't know. Has he been asked to blow the trumpet yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so he will be, and he will refuse. I don't know if that's not really the same thing as quitting, but every man in this army will at some point contemplate quitting because they're going to die, and they're outnumbered. What, 5 to 1? 100,000 to 20,000. So they're tempted to quit. I'm going to ask you to write about the idea of quitting. Everybody says no one likes a quitter, but I bet we've all done it. But maybe there were times when we didn't do it. In other words, we thought about it, but we chose not to quit. So, and I'll share a couple of instances, one of each for me. So I would like you to write about the idea of quitting, something that preferably you didn't do, and you look back and say, man, I'm glad I didn't give up on that. Or maybe it was something you did do, and you learned from it. Or maybe it was the right thing to do. Maybe something you quit doing because it wasn't good. It was something, something like that.